fans and MFFLs, what's going on with you? Unfortunately, the Dallas Mavericks did fall to the Phoenix Suns last night. Final score, Phoenix 132, the Dallas Mavericks 109. The Dallas Mavericks now in their last 10 games are sitting at 5-5. That is not where this team wants to be, because one thing we're seeing is so many injuries. And they're keeping this team from building any momentum when it comes to just comfort in these rotations. Obviously, we do know Jason Kidd, I am not a fan of as a coach. And a lot of it relies on the simple fact and leans on the simple fact Jason Kidd will not at any point, I guess you want to say, and again, we're talking about, again, like I just spoke about injuries and things like that, but Jason Kidd, he loves to move around pieces, pull guys in and out of rotations, mess with guys' minutes. Sometimes you'll see a guy playing about 20 minutes, next night you might not see him playing at all. That to me is not how you're going to build a team, because what we're seeing around the rest of the league is now at this point of the season, the Dallas Mavericks are not being one of those teams that, like I said, if you're seeing around the rest of the league, teams are now starting to grow into who they are going to be going forward. And obviously with the trade deadline, I believe only about 2 weeks away, the Dallas Mavericks have too many moves to make. I don't think this is a team that's going to compete for anything, because we're still weak in some of the major points. And some of these role players that were playing well early to start the season are starting to see their production just weighing off a little bit. Again, due to injuries, due to not being able to just field a complete team game in and game out. The Dallas Mavericks are starting to see themselves fall behind the rest of the pack, and that is not where you want to be, because again, like the Dallas Mavericks are sitting in the 8th seed right now, 24-20 record. Like I said, 7 games out of the first place, but only 2.5 out of the 9th seed. And we're looking at the Dallas Mavericks now sitting in that play-in tournament. Obviously, that is not where this team wants to be, because there are going to be too many X factors. I'm not a fan of playing in the play-in, because you have too many X factors. All it takes is one guy going off one night, a guy that may not even be known around the NBA. And sometimes, or bad injuries, things like that happen in these fluky games. That's why I say the play-in tournament, as entertaining as it has been over the last couple of years, obviously adding another twist into what the NBA season is, it is not good for teams that are, again, if you're looking for one of these young upstart teams, then it's fine. It gives you some momentum, gives you some experience, and consider a playoff environment. But for the Dallas Mavericks, you're talking about filling a team with a Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. This is not where you want to be. This is not where you are going to find yourself with any championship aspirations. And at the end of the day, we can get into what we think some of the biggest issues are, but I'm going to start with just it's not being able to, I guess, field pieces that actually fit well together. We have guys that work in theory, but we don't have guys that work in actuality. So if you're looking at our team and you're saying, we have Derek Lively, that's a good starting point for the centerpiece of your defense, although he is 19 years old. But the rest of the game, if you're looking at Grant Williams, a guy who was projected to be a starter for this team after the trade, acquiring him from the Boston Celtics, you're looking at Grant Williams, and he's not playing well. Now you find him not even really being a full starter game in and game out anymore. And then you're looking at Josh Green in and out of the lineup. Dante Exum, is he going to be a starter as he was believed to be when he started to ascend and Kyrie Irving left the lineup with some injuries? You're now starting to see that this team is just not built well. And that's going to be on Nico Harrison. That's going to be on Mark Cuban. That's going to be on Jason Kidd. That's going to be on them as a whole community and a committee, I'm going to say, and a whole unit to figure out what this team needs. Because again, we're only 14 days away from the trade deadline. That is not where this team wants to be. We're talking about the 8th seed right now. You have another couple bad injuries, and the Dallas Mavericks schedule is not easing up right now. So you're looking at some dangerous times for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, if you look at the Dallas Mavericks, once again, the Phoenix Suns 132, the Dallas Mavericks 109. The Phoenix Suns sitting there with a 26-18 record, 12-7 on the road. The Dallas Mavericks again falling 24-20, 13-11 at home. Look at Kevin Durant last night. It was a quiet night for a guy with the ability that he does have, but we're talking about 12 points on 4 of 10 shooting, so it wasn't like he was even putting up many shots. You're going to be able to look and see what Devin Booker had a night for himself. But looking at Kevin Durant, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 big assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. This was a game where you're watching Bradley Beal kind of chip in a little bit with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, but more so, the game was Devin Booker, 46 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. This is a guy where you're watching Devin Booker. He started to roll. It's 17 of 23, 8 of 10 from the 3-point line. What is that? 6 of 8, I believe, from the free throw line. You're seeing last night the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm going to say one of the major issues we've seen so many times, if this season and games would just end for this team this specific season in the first half, the Dallas Mavericks will be in a great position. They might be, we're talking about a 1 seed, but the Dallas Mavericks, what they have not been able to do is put together I guess you want to say a full experience for the fans watching the game. This is what we're talking about. A lot of times this team will get out to big leads and somewhat slowly but surely, and I said it last night watching the game, you do know at some point the Phoenix Suns are going to continue to chip away, because basketball at the end of the day, it is a game of momentum. But it's your head coach's job, and I strongly believe this, it's your head coach's job to put a stop and try to slow some of this momentum. What we see many times, I'm going to say over and over, we see way more than I'd like to see. Jason Kidd refusing to use his timeouts. Jason Kidd refusing to break up any momentum. He will just watch this team continue to just give up lead after lead. The Dallas Mavericks, I believe, in the first half had a lead of as big as 16 points. This was where you're asking yourself, Jason Kidd, you now are seeing that your team has got to start stacking wins. You cannot continue to just kind of teeter here and there, win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 2, win 2, lose 1, and whatever the variation is. And that's exactly how the Dallas Mavericks season has gone up to this point. Obviously, we can talk about Luka Doncic. Statistically, it was a nice night for him. 34 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 5 turnovers. Well, minus 22 in the plus minus. Luka Doncic, and I'm going to say one of the biggest issues we've talked about so many years. I believe Luka's sitting in year 6, something like that of his career. 11 of 24 from the field, 4 of 11 from 3, 8 of 12 from the free throw line. Luka Doncic, he continues to let referees, he continues to let sometimes things that are around him in the games get into his head, and he can take him out of the game for a couple minutes at certain stretches. And what Luka Doncic cannot continue to do is hurt this team with that. Of course, we know he's the best player on this team. He's one of the best players in the entire world. He's a generational player in my opinion, but Luka Doncic is going to have to build it all together. You cannot be all the offensive talent, and we do know we've seen Luka Doncic take steps on the defensive side of the ball this year, because to me that's more about effort and also having a Kyrie Irving when he is in the lineup, having a few more guys that can kind of get their own here and there. You're going to have to ask yourself, Luka Doncic, how great do you want to be? At the end of the day, you can't call yourself a fan and think it's not okay to be critical of your team's best players, because at the end of the day, it can't always be about what everyone else is doing wrong. Yes, we do know the Dallas Mavericks do not have a solid team built around, and I fully put that on the front office. Not even a little bit, I fully put that on the front office. Nico Harrison has worked a little magic we've seen, but just continue to have Mark Cuban in the mix, Nico Harrison. This team came into this year obviously believing they could continue to play some more small ball their way. Again, talking about Grant Williams is projected to be your starter, but Grant Williams in last night's game, we're talking about 11 minutes, 8 points. Derrick Jones Jr., 24 minutes, 6 points, 2 rebounds. Derek Lively in 25 minutes, 8 points, 2 rebounds. You're looking at Josh Green in 31 minutes and starting lineup. These are the starting lineups I'm talking about. 8 minutes, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. This is just not enough. And obviously we do know Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench, 6 of 16 in 34 minutes, 4 of 10 from the 3-point line, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. But at the same time, you're looking at these plus minuses, just minus 21. The biggest issue the Dallas Mavericks had is just not being able to stay connected and stay linked. And with that, to me, that's what goes into some of these big issues in the second halves of games. Teams are now identifying that we are not the team, a fully solid team, especially when it comes to rim protection. Derek Lively, as great as he has been, he still is a work in progress because he does not have his full NBA body. He still also doesn't understand sometimes nuance of blocking out. We saw sometimes last night the Phoenix Suns where they were able to kind of continue to build some momentum. It's our second chance buckets, offensive rebounds. That is going to hurt you when you're playing against a team with a Kevin Durant, a Devin Booker, a Bradley Beal, and Grayson Allen. Some of these others just solid pieces that they do have around them. You're going to continue to hurt yourself if you're not going to be a solid rebounding team. And again, Derek Lively, I'm not putting it all on him because he is still such a young guy and he's still learning. But the Dallas Mavericks have got to make a move. Maxi Kleber in 22 minutes, he has 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. you are not going to get much out of this team. Dante Exum, like I talked about in his return last night, Jaden Hardy gets 11 points in 15 minutes, but Dante Exum was 6 points in 19 minutes. Again, you're trying to work Dante Exum in. I feel like this is still a guy that's going to be very major dividends to this team if you're able to get Kyrie Irving back somewhat soon, because I feel like that is going to be the best lineup going forward. To me, it's going to be Luka Doncic, a Dante Exum, a Kyrie Irving, a Derrick Jones Jr., and a Derek Lively. But do I think that's a competing team? I do not. Not in the long run, because at the end of the day, you're still looking at some weak spots. And that's what the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to take very seriously as a trade deadline approaches. You cannot let February 8th get closer and closer and actually get here, and you still have done nothing, because now we're going to be asking some major questions. Nico Harrison, Mark Cuban, you're continuing to waste, and I'm going to say waste, Luka Doncic's career. Is Luka Doncic the perfect player? No, but he's a very good one, a generational one, again, in my opinion. So if you're going to ask yourself, how can you help this team? We have got to get bigger on the front court. I don't care what it takes. At this point, you have got to get bigger. And I want this team, to me personally, in my opinion, add a solid guy that can solidly get his own bucket around the rim. And I'm not talking about easy lobs or just putbacks, things like that, which Derek Lively has gotten much better at. I'm talking about a guy that can kind of get his own bucket here and there. I don't need an all-star level player either. Just get me a guy that's going to be hard-nosed. We can add some physicality down low, and hopefully that can help this team when it comes to the rebounding and also just closing off defensive possessions, because we can obviously say we still need another guy that's going to be able to come in and add a score. You've seen some names thrown around. You're looking, I think Bruce Brown is a name that the Dallas Mavericks are reportedly very interested in still. Also, Kyle Kuzma, the Dallas Mavericks allegedly have still have some interest in that. So we'll see what this team needs, but I just do not believe that the Dallas Mavericks are anywhere near a team that is I'm going to say that anybody's worried about. Having a Kyrie Irving, a Luka Doncic, that does not matter. It's at the end of the day, this is a 5-man game. You have got to have a solid team built around, and not just one or two guys and then thinking that's going to be the end all be all. They cannot continue, and when I say they, I'm speaking about the front office. They cannot continue to just kind of give spare parts here and there with this team, because you're going to now start to question Nico Harrison, and I'm going to start it now. The noise is getting louder and louder. Mark Cuban, he loves to say he wants this team to win, but at the same time, we don't take any chances. We don't hang on to our solid pieces that we should. Again, that can potentially be future assets. And then when we do, sometimes I'm gonna say it's on our front office, but also this coaching staff. That's not freeing Jason Kidd of any blame, because I do not believe Jason Kidd is the coach for the Dallas Mavericks is going to lead them anywhere. And I can stand on that completely with 10 toes down. But if the front office is going to say that they respect Luka Doncic's talent and they think that he is a generational player, get him the most help that you can and see where the cards fall. We're not coming in here year in, year out with these spare parts and then continuing to say that we want to see a winning team, because that is not what's going on around here. And Mark Cuban, Nico Harrison, they have to ask themselves some tough questions. And that also means asking themselves, how long should we hold on to a guy like Jason Kidd? The Dallas Mavericks' next opponent will be the Atlanta Hawks on January 26, 2024. 6 p.m. Central Time will be the time. The Dallas Mavericks are now, again, sitting at 24 and 28th in the Western Conference right now. I believe 7 games out of first, only 2.5 out of the 9th spot. So the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to start to pick up some steam. The 18 and 26 Atlanta Hawks they're struggling just a little bit, but also you're looking at Trey Young, I believe, is going to be out indefinitely with a concussion. I'm not sure if he's playing next game or not, so we'll see exactly how that goes. But the Dallas Mavericks, they will have a tough battle on their hands, because we do know the Atlanta Hawks, the Trey Young, the Luka Doncic history, all that's always somewhat thrown into the mix. So if Trey Young is able to go, the Dallas Mavericks will have a tough battle on their hands. And even if he's not, we do know this team has just not played well so far on some of the Dallas Mavericks. So they're going to have to get themselves together. They're going to have to start to pick up some momentum, because trade deadline is February 8th. We'll see exactly who's on this team. After that deadline, we'll see who's still on this team, who's not on this team anymore. We'll see if any major moves are going to be made. But the Dallas Mavericks cannot stand pat, to me, in my personal opinion. You have a team with Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. You have a young talent in a guy like a Derek Lively Jr. You're adding in some of these more solid pieces in a guy like Dante Exum or Derrick Jones Jr. and a Dante Exum who should get himself back, his rhythm going in these next coming games. So the Dallas Mavericks have got to take this final stretch seriously before the trade deadline and before we can get to seeing just what this team's actual full potential is. And also at the same time, Jason Kidd is going to have to start to be more tough-nosed and start to be more proactive when it comes to stopping momentum in games and just being engaged. It seems too many times we're watching Jason Kidd, and he said too many times, which rubs a lot of his fan base the wrong way. You've heard him over the last couple years. He'll say pretty much when things are going not going well, that the team has got to be tougher, but at the end of the day, he's just watching because he's not on the court playing. You do not want to keep hearing stuff like that from your coach because his team has not played well. We're looking at 24-20. Now, are they the worst team in the league? No. But there are major improvements that must be made and will have to be made if the team's going to do any damage come playoff time and just find themselves a more solid footing as a team overall. I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. What do you think about the Dallas Mavericks going forward? Are you excited about what you think's to come, or are you still going to kind of, are you more so just down on the downside, I'm going to say, and just not having any faith in this team going forward? Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you for all the support, like I said, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.